eight employees, and then we had guides that were up there, and the people themselves hired a guide up there, but my dad had them there. And so we had a cook. You always had to have a good cook, because that made or breaks your place. You had somebody that could make good meals. That was it. Because they served 2 meals a day. The breakfast was served in the dining room, and the evening meal was served in the dining room. And the noontime was a shore lunch. Everybody went out, and the guide, hopefully. I mean, he had to do the cooking, but you had to get things ready for the guy to bring out, and hopefully they had fish. And I can always remember the guides talking among themselves, because if they didn't catch fish enough for a shore lunch, they had to have Spam. And that was kind of not, nobody wanted to have Spam for lunch. So nowadays you hear about Spam. So whenever I think about Spam, I think, oh, they didn't want Spam. But that was the backup for the guys. So anyhow, then we had to have a cook. And one thing I do remember about the cook is the bread. She used to bake bread. I mean, that was one of the every day or every other day or whenever they needed. And can't you imagine the smell of freshly baked bread? I could still, you could still smell it. And she had to, in the early days, they had to cook on a wood stove. It was great, huge, great big wood stove. And when I think back, it's amazing, how did she ever cook and bake bread, pies, and all those things on a wood stove, and to regulate it, but they did. Yeah, the later years my dad had a gas stove, so it got a little easier. But I can remember the cook and the baked, freshly baked bread. So, and because we were on the American plan, which means that we served those 2 meals a day, and so we had no housekeeping cabins. So all the guests ate in the lounge, in the dining room, and the first years my dad only had a dining room and a kitchen and a storage room and stuff. And then he added on, in about a couple of years, he added on a big commons area with a great big huge fireplace. It was made by John Brown. I don't know if anybody remembers John Brown, but they made a big huge fireplace, and we had this commons area. And my train of thought, where did it go? But anyhow, yes, okay, now I was talking about the American plan. Okay, and that, okay. And okay, my train of thought. Okay. Okay, employees, besides the guides, which were all local guides. I mean, I don't know if there's a Frank Sheen and a John Novak and a Philip Bless and all these names. They were all from Ely, in the general area, or Ely or Winton. So they were kind of local people. And we also had a minnow boy. We had to have somebody, a minnow boy and a dock boy, because they had to go out and seine minnows. They had to have fresh minnows for bait, because we were so far from Ely that, and sometimes it was kind of nip and tuck. I can remember there were times of the year that the minnows just weren't there. And it was kind of nip and tuck. But we had minnow boy, and then we would have somebody do the laundry. We had to have a laundry person. And so we had a few different buildings. We had the laundry, and then the main lodge. The laundry was up here, and there was a bunkhouse for the guides, for all the guys. And I hate to say this, but there was a hen house. That was for the women. Isn't that awful? But there was, no house. But that's what it was called. It was the hen house, and that was for the women that were up there. If the cook was a husband and wife, they had a special little cabin for them too. Yeah, but the guys were up in the bunkhouse and in the laundry. Because we didn't have automatic washers either. They did it by the old-fashioned way, you know, with the
Scrub board?
Well, no, they had one of the old agitators. Yeah, agitating washing machines. Yeah. Well, in the beginning, I think they probably did because they didn't have electricity. But then once my dad got a generator, then we had electricity.
It was like a ring?
And the ringer. Yeah. So. Okay. Let's see. I have a few notes here so I can keep myself in okay. Some of the things that we did, like I said, oh, blueberry picking. And of course, that was oh man, in July, we had to go blueberry picking because you needed blueberries for your pies and for your breads, and the cook needed to, you know, when you have maybe 10, 12, 20 people in your dining room, you need a lot of pies. So we had to go blueberry picking, and when I look back now, I remember I just hated it because you get into the boat at 8 o'clock in the morning and you go out and somewhere down the lake and you spend the whole day, and you had to pick berries. I mean, you didn't just pick a little cup, you know, and we had to pick buckets, wash tubs maybe I should say. But then we have a picnic lunch out there, and you know, and fun things like that too. But I can remember not enjoying going out and picking blueberries. We would always have to travel a little bit, about half an hour, 45 minutes from the resort to go it. The guides, of course, being on the lake all the time, knew where the blueberries were, so they would clue us in, clue my, you know, whoever went with us, where we were going to go. And because remember that area up there was logged at one time. I mean, we're talking the 1800s, long time ago. So there really wasn't any virgin timber up there, virgin trees. Here and there, I guess. But so there was logged out areas, and then of course fires went through. So those were the places where the blueberries were pretty much in abundance. So that was one of the big activities for usually in July. I mean, maybe one day or maybe 2 days. It depended how many berries you got. And of course, when you're out there, the bugs were atrocious, of course. But yeah. Yes.
Did you ever run into any bears out there?
I don't ever remember running into bears at the blueberry patch. No, I know.
Did you run into them any place else?
Yes, that was another activity at the lake, was always, at one point, a couple times during the summer, the bears would come in at night looking for the garbage. And that was kind of the highlight of the summer, because they would stay up all night. They would, and I mean, sometimes they shot them. I mean, I can remember them coming to the back door of the kitchen. They do that at night, of course, and trying to get into the kitchen because they could smell food, of course. And yeah, so that was at least once or twice a summer they had a bear watch. People would be up all night long and waiting for the bear to come in, and they would scare them. I think maybe once or twice they got shot, if I can remember correctly. But usually they would skedaddle. Yeah. But you had a lot of wildlife. We had deer coming in. Deer kind of came in, and yeah. So yes, but I never did see the bear in the blueberry patch. Thank goodness. Yeah. Roger.
Do you remember the Canadian Ranger Station by Sunday, outside of Sunday Bay?
No, I don't ever remember Canadian. I remember the Canadian Ranger Station on Basswood.
Okay. With Ernie Robertson, he was one of the minnow boys. Remember him?
I remember him.
Yeah, Ernie would tell me stories, not about the Ranger Station, but about going to Bart Lake to get minnows, the ponds, Perco's Argo Bay, that's what we call on the north side of